The emperor's pepper has been stolen. It's known that those who steal pepper always lie. The press secretary states that he knows who stole the pepper. Is he guilty? So this is just like a logic problem where you have to do several cases, like case study, and then figure out the scenario which is the most probable. And you can just if you're asked this kind of question, you can just talk around and then try to figure out something. But in mathematical logic, there is more rigorous way of dealing with this type of problems. So one way is the following. So you can just make some notations to make your statements more rigorous, and then work out those statements, the combination of statements. So let's start with this last sentence. Is he guilty? So there are two ways. So there are two options: guilty or not guilty. So let's denote guilty as G, and then G dash like not guilty. And then this statement, the press secretary stated that he knows who stole the pepper. The first one is a fact; it has been stolen. The second one is also a fact: those who steal, they always lie. But the third sentence, the secretary said that he knows who stole the pepper. So it's already the question itself is saying that he stated, but it could be wrong, lie, or truth. So we don't know exactly if it's true or lie. So there are also like two ways. So either secretary knows, so he's not lying, knows the thief, and then doesn't know, so he's lying. So lying, there are two ways. And then looking at these statements, you can see, so the whether it's lie or not and guilty not guilty, they are like they don't depend on each other. So there are four options for us to have. So the first option is secretary knows and he is guilty. Second option is secretary knows and he is not guilty. And then secretary does know, so which means lying, and they are guilty, and lying, and they are not guilty. So we can work out all of these four statements and see whether it's possible or not possible case. So if you go if you imagine that this is not a good notation, I'd say. So if you go with this one, secretary knows and then they are guilty, but from this statement, if they are guilty, if the secretary is guilty, then secretary is a liar, because those who steal pepper, they always lie. Which means secretary states that he knows who stole the pepper. So which means the statement of the secretary should be a lie. So it should be a lie, which means they don't know. So secretary doesn't know. So this combination is not possible. So we can say that if they are guilty, if the secretary is guilty, it's not possible they know they know who stole, because if in fact the secretary is guilty, he knows because he is the thief, so he should be lying, but he's not lying. So this is not a possible scenario. So this is one possible scenario. And then imagine that imagine this case. Okay, the secretary is guilty, which means again the same, liar, and then the secretary should be lying. So this statement should be lie. The press secretary states that he knows who sold the pepper. So yeah, in fact he knows. That in reality, does secretary know the thief? Yes. What's he saying? Statement. Statement is true. So again, this one is not the fact that he doesn't know lying. This statement is not a lie. If he is guilty, this statement is not a lie. So this is also not possible scenario. So these two scenarios are not possible. So we are left with this or this. So either, so like in both, so like if you just work out these two cases, then you'll reach to, so you don't need to work out even, because like in both of the scenarios, the Secretary of State the press secretary is not guilty. So this is a very simple idea. So it's here, what's important is the strategy, how you build the statements and then opposites of statements. This kind of approach can help you organize your statements and ideas, and then you can prove the statement more rigorously. Yeah, instead of doing this, you could just do some kind of argumentation like this, like more straightforward, because this is a very easy problem, so you don't need to employ very difficult strategies. But you know that explaining strategies with small easy problems is kind of good illustration. So when you see a much more difficult problem, you can employ this strategy. But for this problem, you can just imagine that he is guilty, then he is a liar, and then the statement is lie, and then which means, so you have to assume that this is a lie. So then secretary doesn't know, since it's a lie, secretary doesn't know. And then, but going back to initial assumption, secretary knows, because secretary is the thief. So this consequence and this consequence, they cannot be true at the same time. So the initial assumption that the secretary is guilty is correct, so you cannot make that assumption. So this is very simple argumentation without employing this one. But if you have a little bit more complex statement of the problem, then this could be very useful. So if you have 3 unknown statements, then you would have something like this, like, so we have CG, right? GK, then maybe another statement, say T, then you would have like 8 different options, and then you have to work out 8 options and then try to figure out which one is more suitable for your problem.